tits, bitch.
Hello, fiends and fiendettes. Welcome to the movie review portion of episode 92 of Scream Fiends, the best horror podcast on 7voltmedia.com. Get at us on Twitter at Scream Fiends. This episode's movie of the week is 2018's Incident in a Ghostland.
Patrick had a vague feeling something was about to happen. Something in the breeze of twilight had whispered, "It's going to happen tonight."
You just passing through?
No, we're moving here into Aunt Clarice's house.
Okay, what's the story about?
Some guy's been breaking into people's homes, murdering the parents and sparing the daughters. He stays in the house with her, along with the parents' dead bodies. I like to write stories.
Incident in a Ghostland is your most personal book so far.
Your sales are through the roof. They adore you.
Hello?
Please, you have to come back.
Vera?
They never should have stayed in that house. Capacity to create your own worlds.
I guess the question is why write this book? To keep from going insane.
She keeps reliving that night over and over. Are you gonna let me die alone?
I never should have stayed in that house.
Nobody's here. No one is here, Vera. I know what you want from your sister. They broke me, and now they're playing with you. Do you understand now, Beth? What did you do to me? Except what happened. Tell me what you did! Stop running away!
We've been waiting for this movie for a long time.
I mean, not necessarily even this movie, just a movie from Pascal Laugier.
Yes. So this movie is starring Crystal Reed as adult Beth, Mylene Farmer as Pauline.
The mother.
Yes, and she is apparently this like French superstar,
She sings the
like
songs.
actress, pop star, model.
She's the French Jackie Chan.
Yes, exactly. Anastasia Phillips as adult Vera. Amelia Jones as young Beth. Taylor Hickson as young Vera. Kevin Power as Candy Truck Woman. And Rob Archer as Fat Man. It was written and directed by Pascal Laugier, who, and the reason why we are so excited for this movie is he is the writer-director of Martyrs.
Greatest movie ever made.
Greatest movie ever made. The line you have to meet on Scream Fiends, that is the top of the heap.
Yeah, I mean, it's a platinum platinum movie.
Mm.
So it's it's here.
Yep.
And I mean, do we put some of those hard hitters above or below? I mean, is that our best? Is that our favorite horror movie?
Ooh.
I mean, when you stick it up next to the classics.
Yeah.
The really like award-winning classics, The Shinings and the Silence of the Lambs.
I like it more than those movies.
I think I do too.
Yeah. And then, of course, the American remake of Martyrs is the bottom of the pile.
It is the worst movie I have ever seen.
Yeah. So if you are, I mean, has there been a movie worse than the Martyrs remake?
I think there was one that you said you'd rather watch the Martyrs remake.
But then you talked me back over the ledge.
I think it was the number 23, actually. Was that last week we did that?
Oh, was it?
I don't
Oh,
know.
maybe it was. Yeah.
I can't remember now, but
Uh,
I would rather watch the number 23 on an island as my only movie than ever have to see Martyrs remake again.
All right, let's do it. Let's Incident in a Ghostland. Spoilers, should warn you.
No, this is an episode 92.
Yeah. All right, so the movie starts out with a picture of your favorite. You've got him tattooed on your arm.
Well, so let's talk about when I realized it was him. So the picture is actually zoomed into like his eyes and his forehead. I'm like, hey, it's Lovecraft.
Yep.
Yeah, so I realized right away, and then it said, it comes up and it said, it's like typing over like his pictures of Howard Philip Lovecraft. Then underneath in quotes, the greatest horror writer ever,
Yes.
by far, ever. Something I can't remember exactly what.
Yeah.
And then it was,
Beth.
a quote by Elizabeth Keller,
Yes.
who we find out's in this story. So
Yes, and so the first shot is of like this Amish boy. It looks like he's got like one of those weird hats.
careful, we might have an Amish person listening.
Oh. Yeah. They're on the internet, on a computer, or on their iPhones.
I'm just made out of wood.
Wood circuits.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And the boy is running through the field, or I don't know what he's doing out
Yeah.
in the field.
Just ran through the field.
And then we see a Griswold
Station
wood-paneled station wagon driving on by. And this is where we meet
The Amish boy again.
No,
Oh, who do we meet?
Beth,
Oh yeah, sure. Beth's there.
Vera,
And
and the
she's-
mom,
Yeah, Beth. is-
Pauline,
yeah, and
who they never say her name, I don't think, in the movie.
They might say it when they talk about Pauline going to her aunt. Clarice something or other. Maybe it got mentioned.
I
I
don't.
can't remember.
I don't ever remember them saying. They always call her mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the mom and the two daughters, and they're driving
down the road.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever get into like where they're going or anything until they actually like get there.
Well, yeah. And I don't even know where they are to
Yeah.
begin with. But yeah, so Beth is reading to her mother, and it's a horror story.
Yes.
And she wrote it herself,
Uh-huh.
and she did such a good job. And her
She
mom said
loves
so.
writing.
Yep. And then Vera's in the back, and she heard it too, and she's all like, she takes
What?
she takes her two fingers, right, and she puts them together, and she's got like a gun, and she puts the gun in her mouth, and she pretends to shoot herself because she doesn't like her sister's stories.
Yes.
But her mother's like, I love that story, and then her sister's like, oh, you say that about all her stories. So Vera's kind of a bitch.
Well, yeah, so Beth wants to be a writer.
Mm-hmm.
She's really into it.
Well, they make a joke. Her mother's like, yeah, it was very Lovecraftian, and like Vera kind of mouths, of course it was Lovecraftian or something like that. So.
Yep. Then this like creepy van, like truck. It looks like an ice cream, like a big ice cream truck,
It does.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
And on the front it says "Good old taste for kids," and then on the hood it says "Caution, children." Caution : children.
Well, it pulls alongside them.
It's like honking, or it has some sort of like siren, doesn't it?
Yep. And then they wave. The driver waves at them, and the mother and Beth wave back. And then it slows down to see the girl in the back, and they wave at her, and she's like waves, and then gives them the bird.
Yep. It looks like a woman driving.
It does.
Yes.
And then it goes away.
Yep. And then the next thing we get is they are at a gas station.
Yep.
Beth is kind of looking around. She sees stack of books, horror novels, $1 a piece. Which, if I saw that, I would be like, yeah, I'll take every single one of these. And then she sees a newspaper, and the headline is "Family Killer Strikes for 5th Time." And then there's a little article. It says something about daughter was tortured for so-and-so amount of time. I don't know.
Yeah. Then her sister comes in. Well, the reason she's reading the store person spilt some nail polish and asked her to watch the store.
Oh, that's right.
Well, her sister comes in, and what are you reading? And she's like, oh, nothing you'd be interested in. Then kind of bicker. Then she tells her. And then the mother comes in, and Vera pockets some sunglasses illegally.
Yep.
And then nothing comes about that, though.
No.
But, or does it? I don't think anything comes about that.
No.
And then they leave, and they get to the house.
Yes, and turns out this is their Aunt Clarice's house.
Yep.
They'd never say, like, why they're there.
Nope.
But they seem to be this... I guess it doesn't... They're either visiting or they're going there to live.
It seems like they're going there to live.
But they also... I didn't see them have any, like, suitcases.
They did.
Did they?
The whole top of the Griswold car was full of
okay.
suitcases.
I must have
And they
missed
had
that.
moving boxes where she, like, gets that phone call at one point. So they were
Sure.
moving in there.
Okay.
So they don't explain why they're moving there or anything. I see a mother with two teenage... Well, not teenage. I think Vera's the older sister. So she's the teenager. But I think Beth is supposed to be...
Like 14, maybe?
Maybe 14 or something. She's real young still.
Yeah.
But maybe there was a divorce and the guy got the house and she got the kids, so maybe, or something. I'm trying to figure out what's going on there.
Well, and the mom, it's a little bit weird because the mom has like this thick French accent, speaks French.
And Vera keeps telling her, no French. I don't speak French.
Yeah, so the kids, neither of them either speak French or don't like when the mom speaks French, and they don't have any sort of accents either.
Yeah.
Which I suppose happens,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it's a little bit whatever.
Sure. You really, their origin is
Doesn't
really
matter.
completely unknown and is inconsequential to what happens.
Yeah.
But what happens next?
So it sort of goes around the house, and the house is just littered with all kinds of dolls, and I think they even say, like, the house looks like a flea market. Like, there's just all these, like, stuffed animal heads, just all these knickknacks all over, but mostly, like, a ton of dolls just all over the place.
Clarice was a bit of a shut-in, it looks like.
Yeah, maybe.
But then Vera finds a mirror, and it opens.
Yeah, so she's like, oh, it's a Chinese puzzle box. And so she's looking around the mirror and hits a button, and the mirror part pops open.
Yeah.
And they kind of look inside, and they seem to see something in there.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden,
Creepy doll!
boom! Jump scare.
Whatever that noise it made was.
Yep, it's this big-ass doll with, like, a
glowing
weird,
yellow
like,
eyes.
big head, yeah, glowing yellow eyes.
That mirror thing came from a fun house, I bet.
Probably.
Or a haunted house.
Yeah, from someone's nightmare. And then Beth looks down, and she's got blood on her hand.
Yep.
And immediately starts crying.
And getting, like, dizzy and, like...
Yeah.
You know, and so she falls, and then you find out she's had her first period.
Yep. The mom is like, oh, now she's like you.
To Vera, and Vera's like, oh, how can she write all these hard stories, but the sight of blood makes her get all woozy. Blah, 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 blah.
It's like, good timing.
Yeah, so Vera's a real big bitch.
Yeah.
To her sister.
Yeah, just a little bit.
And then, she ends up outside on her phone.
Vera is outside, yeah.
And then so the mother goes out there, and Vera then shows her soft side. Oh, how is she? Blah, 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 and whatever, you know.
Yep.
Well, and then her mother's like, oh, it's nice to know that you actually do care. And she's like, whatever. And she goes, I know you're mad at me for taking you away from your boyfriend. She goes, ha ha ha, or whatever, like laughs at that whole idea. But then the mother goes back inside. And tell me you've never done this, where the mother goes back inside to her back to her and she starts giving her the bird like this. I'm like, fuck.
Yep,
I'm like, definitely been that mad before.
But Vera ends up like dropping her phone or iPod, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then in the background, you see
the candy car,
candy truck,
Candy Crush
pop
car.
up.
Yep.
And then I think Vera goes in the house, and then you sort of see in the background again the candy truck sort of pull up to the house.
Yep. But
So,
then like her music's on really loud, so she don't hear anything.
Yeah.
And then it ends up being, they go up in a room and Vera tells Beth to get off her bed.
Mm.
Then they kind of do whatever. Then the mother's downstairs by herself.
Yeah.
Going through boxes and getting like text message or something. And then gets pushed into a wall by a giant man.
A big ass
Krampus
fat,
man.
Bald.
His name is Fat Man in the credits.
Yeah.
And it was the guy that played Krampus.
Yep, and he's got some developmental issues clearly.
Yep. And
he's got sort of a sloth kind of look going.
Yep. And he's got a split lip, like it looks like a
what do they call that?
a cleft palate.
Cleft palate.
But
yeah.
it was never been attended to. But it's just the lip part though, like his actual front mandible jaw, upper mandible thing looks fully developed, but the lip was split up to like here.
Right.
So it never got stitched. So I don't know if it's actually a cleft palate or if it's just a cleft lip, I think is what it's called. A cleft lip, I think it's called.
Sure.
But yeah, he looks like they put like prosthetic makeup on his face to like give it a weird look. He looks like sloth is a good way to put it.
Yeah. But yeah, just brutally slams the mom into the wall, like beats her. They're knocking stuff all over the counters.
And it knocks her ass out.
Yeah.
And then the girls are trying to hide, but he catches the girls, both of them, and he's dragging them down the stairs. Then the van driver lady comes in, and she stands in a door frame as he's dragging the girls by it, and she gives Vera the finger.
Yep.
I was like, see? And that's what I asked you. I'm like, had she not given them the finger, would they maybe have moved on?
Well, see, I don't think so, because I think this is the family killers that the newspaper was referencing.
Yeah.
I assume.
Oh, Incident in Ghostland 2 is that's actually about the actual killers. This is somebody else.
Oh.
Maybe. No, but yeah, so yeah, you're probably right. But they get dragged down in the stairs and he lifts up the first girl.
Oh my god, it's so I mean it's horrible the act that is going on, but it's so well done. Like it's just what I expected from the director of Martyrs, because it's so brutal and so intense. Like the way that they're being dragged down the stairs, like each hit of the steps, like they show everything, and it's just beautifully
brutal.
Yes.
Well, he lifts Beth up by the neck and smells her vagina. Well, she just had her period, so that's icky. So he throws her across the basement.
Yeah.
And then he picks up Vera and said, "Oh, your vagina's not bleeding. I like you." Drags her into the room, and the look that Vera gives Beth, and this is what I thought might be happening in the story. So I'm going to try to do this without revealing too much, but he drags her in there, and Vera looks like terrified, but also like, "Are you gonna leave me here?" kind of a look. Like, what do we do? Kind of a thing. And without missing a beat, Beth leaves.
Yeah.
And she runs upstairs, and she runs to get upstairs, and but I thought, as this movie goes on, that Beth's torture stuff in the movie was because she left her sister, kind of a thing.
Right.
But we'll see how that all ties in. But she gets upstairs, gets slapped around by the van driver a little bit. Then the van driver points down, so she starts to go back downstairs. Then she comes up to the steps, and then the mother comes, and the mother and the van driver are fighting. and the van driver lady is not a lady.
No, because she starts talking, and
she's got a real deep voice.
Yeah.
But the voice of the van driver was voiced by a woman. Look at the credits.
Really?
Yep.
It's not the same voice as the actor playing?
No.
Really? That's super interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird, honestly. But
I guess it never shows.
Yeah, if you go here at the bottom of the thing, Angela Asher, Candy Truck Woman voice, uncredited.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, because I guess it never shows her actually talking.
Yeah, you just hear her say, "Don't look at me."
Yeah.
And
You
whatever.
don't see her lips moving or anything.
No, but so she then fights the mother, and the mother manages to beat her.
Yeah, she grabs a piece of something and is
Yeah, but she also gets like the whole smash a bottle on the thing, and she gets shivved a few times by a broken bottle. But she falls on top of the lady and says, "Get out of here," to Beth, and so Beth leaves. Right? No.
Yeah, because the mom then goes downstairs to go after Vera.
Oh, yeah, because she hears Vera scream.
Yes.
So she runs downstairs, and Beth goes with her, and she gets on top of the fat man
Yep.
and stabs his ass to death.
Yes.
And so he's dead. The van driver lady man is dead. And so
they're safe.
they're safe.
Then we flash forward, and Beth is now a successful horror author.
Yep, and she just wrote a story called The Incident in Ghostland.
Yep.
And then she gets a bunch of phone calls because apparently this thing is off the charts, and her husband's like, "Oh, this is amazing," and her son Harlequin is there, and they're cuddling.
See, I don't know if the son is actually named Harlequin or if they're just calling him Harlequin because he's dressed up like a Harlequin.
I think his name's Harlequin, and he's also dressed up like a Harlequin, and it's all explained later
That's
on.
true.
And so, yep, she's having a great old time, and then they go to a party, and she's on TV.
Yeah, she's on like a talk show talking about this book, and it's so personal. Like, is it based on actual events?
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, she kept getting personal about it." And then they go to a party, and then she doesn't go to a party.
No,
she gets a phone call, and it's Vera, and she's screaming, "You have to come back! You have to come back!" And she's screaming and screaming and screaming.
Yep.
And she's like, "I gotta go back." And so her and her husband talk, and they're kind of doing the whole montage of her getting ready to leave and them having a conversation outside of that montage. And then she goes back, sees her mom. "Hey, Mom."
Yep.
And they're talking, and apparently her mother's been taking care of her sister in the basement, letting her live in the basement.
It's really weird. Like,
why wouldn't you get professional help?
Right.
When your daughter is sending you tons of money.
Yeah.
Why would you stay in that house?
Yeah.
She
at least cleaned up some of the dolls.
Not really.
Well, it shows her getting rid of stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, she's got this whole like elaborate, like locked, padded room for Vera, and like the entire basement is set up basically for Vera's craziness.
Yeah. And then we meet Vera, and she's crazy.
Yeah.
And she's screaming,
still trapped in that moment.
Yeah. And so her mother tells her, even while they're after there's a big incident with the sister going downstairs to help her sister out. Then her and Beth and the mother go upstairs to talk, and she's like, she relives that night every day.
Yeah.
And then Beth's crying, "What can I do?" She's like, "There's nothing you can do." And she blames herself, and she's like, "Don't blame yourself for leaving and living a normal life. That's what you should have done." Because she's like, she asked her mom, how can you do this every night?"
Yeah.
And and there was the whole thing. What was that whole thing where Vera yelled at her mother, I know you love her more than me. Cool thing. So there's a little bit of that sibling, motherly rivalry, whatever. Mother's love rivalry.
And should point out the mom is drinking a beer, and Beth asks her, like, when did you start drinking this redneck
beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more that I think about this movie, the more, like, it's just so good.
And then, no, don't blow your load yet.
I'm not. I'm trying not to.
I just got some in my eye. Oh, come on, man. Let's wait till the end. Apparently, Xander likes this movie. Yeah, it's pretty fucking good. But no, yeah. What happens next? Oh, she has a nightmare.
Yes.
It's scary.
What happens?
So she wakes up, and her face is all fucked up, or whatever. And she walks over to the mirror, and she's like, "What's going on?" No. She wakes up and she sees "Help me" on the mirror.
No. She wakes up, and she goes and opens the mirror.
And there's nothing in there.
Yep. And then
she turns, and the doll that's in the mirror is standing in the doorway, just standing there. Creepy.
Yep. And then the doll, like, starts to, like...
Well, she goes really close to the doll. Then the doll, like, does her laughy, giggle, scream thing. Then she backs up and gets pulled into the mirror by some random
something
arms.
else, yeah.
Some unaccredited arms.
I would say a drawn out jump scare, like one of those things where it's like a jump scare, like, makes you go ooh, but this is like ooh.
Yeah, it's like you're like waiting for it.
Yeah,
it's like you're at that top. It's like being stuck at the top of a roller coaster for like an extra couple seconds. You're like and then it hits you with that drop, and then you're like if you have a full bowel, you are going to shit your pants jump scare. And you just. Don't get on the roller coaster after you eat, kind of thing. But
and then she wakes up, and she sees "Help me" written in lipstick on the mirror.
Yep. And then just kind of goes about their day. And then she finds her sister
chained up
and dolled up.
Yeah,
like a doll. Like she's
super doll makeup.
Like she looks like a doll, not like dolled up like a. Like
pin-up model.
You're dolled up or whatever. Yeah. No, it's like she looks like a doll, and she's trained to the bed, and she's like, they're coming for you, and blah blah blah, and so she starts, give me the keys. Well, she doesn't have the keys, so she leaves. The door shuts behind her. She can't get in to her own room. It's locked. So she's like, how did she lock herself in there?
And then she hears sounds of like Vera being beaten.
Yeah. So then she runs downstairs, right, to her mother. Like, where's the key? There's no key for that door. So then she runs back upstairs.
The door is open.
And then Vera comes out, and she looks like she's being slapped around. So here's what's interesting about this part. So we get the perspective of adult Beth.
Yes.
And Vera is getting slapped around as adult Vera. But she's not adult Vera. She's kid Vera. And she's not getting slapped around. She's getting slapped around.
Yeah, so what this scene shows, it looks like Vera's getting physically like manipulated by
a force,
an entity, like ragdoll effect, like getting beaten.
Yep.
But nothing is around.
Yeah, so she tells her mom to call an ambulance, so she does. She puts a blanket on her sister and this, and she follows her mother downstairs. She goes, just go upstairs and don't listen to... Oh, she goes... What did she say to her sister? She goes, oh, your sister wants you for something. And then she follows her mother downstairs. What does that mean? She goes, don't listen to anything your sister says.
Yes.
So this is cool when we get into the psyche of this movie, because her mother is trying to protect her.
Yeah.
Again.
Yep.
But it's not her mother, as we're going to find out really quick. She goes back inside, goes up, and the blankets are like pushed to the side.
Wait. The mom says, I'm going to go wait outside at the end of the driveway because the ambulance might miss a thing.
Yeah.
And that's when she's like, don't listen to anything Vera says.
Yep.
And then, the mom leaves.
Yep. And then Beth goes back in. Vera's missing again.
Yep.
And then she walks and she starts reliving that night herself.
Yes.
And
She sees the big fat guy dragging
her sister.
young Vera.
Yep.
Like through the hallway.
And she turns away and like that. I swear there's something with that eye in that scene.
Oh, it's weird. It's weird.
When I first looked at it, because she puts her hands over her face and she turns and looks, and so you see the corner of her eye, and it looked to me like it was like a doll eye at first.
Yeah.
But what I actually think now is the actress that plays the kid Beth has wider, bigger eyes than the adult one, and that's what you were seeing with the shadow, like you said.
Yep.
So even though it's the adult Beth, when she looks out of the corner eye from behind her hands, it's kid Beth. And then what do we get?
I'd be interested to find out like if there actually was some sort of effect there, because it does look. It looks. I thought it might be the shadow, but it looks
odd.
It,
It
looks
looks-
weird. Like
yeah.
if you watch this movie,
Tell us
look
what you
for that.
think, yeah.
Look for that scene, because something does look very off with that.
Yeah, but then she meets somebody from her past, and it's the van driver, and he slaps her around like once. She gets like one good punch, and then she wakes up beat to hell in her bed.
Yep, still adult Vera.
No,
but
she's not.
yeah, it's still adult Vera
Is it?
when she wakes up. Yep.
Because she goes over to the mirror then, and she looks at her face, and it's fucked up. Because she just got slapped around.
When she initially wakes up,
Yeah.
it is still adult Vera, and she like there's beer bottles there, and she
And she's
kicks
got
them.
cuts and bruises.
Yep, and she's looking for her mom. That's how I know that it's still adult Vera, because she's looking for her mom, and she's kind of calling out to where Vera is. So it's still that.
Yep.
But then when she looks in the mirror, that's when transitions.
Even when she pulls the hair back and it's young, and she's like, and then she realizes she's been in a dream world.
Yes.
And
then we get the big reveal that she has been trapped
In this house,
this entire time.
this entire time.
None of that adult Vera ever happened.
No. It's
as far as we know at this point.
it could be anywhere from a few hours to a few days from when the initial attack happened. And then her sister finally has like gotten through to her, and her sister's so happy that she's back because like apparently she was in a
Oh,
trance.
that's what we missed. Vera says to her previously in the adult Vera or Beth timeline, they got to me and now they're going to get to you.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Oh, then when she's at as adult Vera or adult Beth, she's at that grate looking down in the basement.
Yeah.
You hear the woman's voice again. The van driver lady says, "We broke your sister, and now we're
Yes,
gonna break you."
That's what it is. Yes.
And so so then it's the girl. They're eating, and she explains to her that how the mother died. She remembers now that the mother did die. She didn't save them.
Yeah.
She gets her neck slit open, and she died.
Yep.
And so she's pretty upset by that. And then the bell rang, and it was time to get dolled up.
Yes,
So-
and Vera tells her, well, first they hear the truck coming, and then Vera tells her, like, whatever happens, just don't move, do exactly what he wants you
Yep,
to.
Don't cry.
Yep. So then Vera hides Beth in this, like, closet.
Yeah.
But Fat Man finds her.
Lady Van Driver finds him.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, because then she dolls her up.
Oh, yes.
Puts her in the room with a bunch of other dolls that are about her size. And makes
Yep.
her like turn her head and stuff.
Oh, my. I have to give a special call out to that makeup scene. The camera work and
like the mixing the
shots.
rouge with the tears.
yes.
And,
Oh, that specifically. That just give me chills.
Watching her try to put the mascara on and like wrenching
That-
kind of on her
that
eyelid.
Extreme close up of her eye,
Yeah.
and then the mascara like going on her eyelashes.
Yeah, and her like
Oh,
her eyes are all red. I mean, like the makeup in this. I mean, she looks like you remember when they put that guy who did cannibal holocaust up for like, did you guys actually murder that woman on the thing? They might want to make sure that this girl didn't actually get beat in the face.
Yeah.
That makeup was fucking spot on.
Oh
but
man, and she's got this like cut on her cheek, and it looks real.
Yeah,
Like it is.
That's very good work.
Yeah, but yeah, the mixing of the blush and the tear coming down her face.
Yeah, because my imagining was
Beautiful.
like she's sad and crying, but like she's trying not to cry because her sister said not to.
Mm.
I imagine it was the pain of them shoving the fake eyelash on her swollen eye.
Oh yeah.
I thought maybe that's like what was like the you know.
Mm.
But yeah. So then she gets to watch Fat Man come in.
Yep.
And you think, okay, he's gonna rape her right now, but instead he takes a giant doll, and starts messing with the doll, and like he's about to like finger bang this doll.
Yeah.
But then the doll starts saying, "I want to be your friend."
Yeah.
And it's like one of those talking dolls. And
He
then
does
gets
not like that.
No, he doesn't like it when they talk. So he gets mad and starts beating the thing, and then he breaks her fingers. Like we see the fingers broken.
Oh yeah, we completely missed that part in the ghost when Vera was getting thrown around. Yeah, her hand is freaking mangled to pieces.
Yep. So apparently, if you fight back, he breaks your fingers. Then he starts your shit on fire because they also show her hands are burned too. Vera's hands. are
Oh,
burned.
that's right. Yep.
So they're showing that, and at that point, he catches Beth looking at him.
Mm.
So then he goes to Beth, and she's trying to play dead. And but she snuck a scissor out of a thing and hid it in her hair.
Was it a scissors or was it like a pin, like a hairpin?
It looked like a hairpin, but when it looks like on his back, it looks like a very small scissor. For like maybe making clothes for dolls. I don't know. But he's about to finger her, and she stabs his ass in like the neck, shoulder area, and he gets really mad and starts flipping out. And he starts. We actually get to see into his psychosis, and all the dolls are in their doll voice saying like, "You're ugly. We hate you. We're gonna kill you. We're gonna kill you." And he starts smashing all these dolls to pieces.
Yep.
And she tries to break out. No, she starts crawling away.
There's the part where he lifts her up by the leg.
That's right at first, right? Oh yeah, because
when she makes him unhappy.
Yeah.
It was.
I think she made a sound. Or something.
Yeah, but yeah, he lifts her up by the leg.
Yeah.
And she starts peeing herself.
Yeah.
She's so scared.
Oh, I forgot about this. And she's getting pee on herself.
Yep, and it drips down onto her face.
Yeah.
Oof. And yeah, then the events unfold.
Yep.
Stabs him in the back.
And she crawls out of the room.
Mm.
But as she gets to the door, though, because the lady, the van driver, heard him screaming, so he's pounding on the door. She's pounding on the door.
Yep.
And then she's like, "Oh shit!" So then she runs back into that room, but the man's there, and she ends up getting to fight him off somehow.
She gets the typewriter.
Well, that's after she gets away from him somehow. But yeah, she gets a typewriter and bashes his ass.
Oh, we completely skipped like some of the best part, or like the best references. Like when she initially wakes up and realizes she's still in that situation.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
She sees all the different things that relate to her adult life. Like
there's a picture of a man who looks like her husband. It's just an old painting, and there's a little picture of a little Harlequin boy, who's obviously her son. So things in the room. So she was still slightly aware of her surroundings, but they just became part of her internal
life.
her internal story to escape this hell.
There's like a magazine cover of what was the talk show host of when she was giving the interview on the TV show, and yeah, there's a ton of stuff that you kind of. It's one of those neat things where I'm sure upon repeat viewings you can catch new things every time.
Yeah. Well, and it would have been kind of cool if they didn't highlight them and just, maybe she sees them in passing, but doesn't focus on them, to allow you to kind of to participate and try to catch that kind of shit. It's like, did you see that painting? Wait, go back to that.
Yeah.
That looks like her husband, and that's the Harlequin boy. Oh, that's her son. That's how she got the ideas for this story she put in her head.
Right. Yeah. Super cool.
Yeah. So, but she bashes dude really bad with the
typewriter.
And then she goes back to the door and doesn't hear anything. And so she's about to try to go out that door, and then a sledgehammer comes through it.
Yep.
So then she runs back in, grabs a typewriter, throws it out the window to go out the window.
And then the truck driver gets through the door.
Yep, and she is looking around and sees that the window's broken, then runs back downstairs to go outside.
Yep.
And I kind of seen it coming. She didn't actually go out the window.
No.
She went in that mirror.
The Chinese puzzle box mirror.
Yep. And then the doll in there starts laughing, and the fat man figures it out. So he goes in there, and like she gets away from him, but he grabs. Oh, I know. He breaks the window. No, because that's.
Doesn't she just escape? She runs downstairs.
She gets her sister and escapes.
I thought that's what happens.
And then she goes to the party.
It is what happens. They do
Yes.
escape the house.
They escape the house. They go out.
They're running through the field.
They stop the cops.
Well, it's got that like iconic. I feel like it started with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's like the escape and the sun is rising. It's sort of like that dawn sort of shot. So I thought that was really cool. Just the cinematography at that part. But yeah, so they're going through the field. They see the cop SUV like driving through the highway, but it doesn't stop, so they kind of collapse and are like,
but then it does stop.
Yep.
And it comes back.
Yep.
And then they're like, get away from us. Like the Vera's
very untrusting of anyone at this point.
The woman cop is able to kind of relate to them more. The other cop goes up and starts calling it in, and then you see headlights, and you're like, oh fuck, it's the candy driver.
Yep.
And it's gonna run him over, and
the entire time I'm like, how do you not see this? Like, look, there they are. Like, what are you doing? But then it turns out,
truck.
Yep,
just a normal truck.
The cop just waves it by,
and then he gets But what he doesn't see is a very tall woman walking at him, pointing a gun in this open field, and gets lit the fuck up.
Yep.
Then the woman gets lit up, and then they get dragged back into the house.
Oh, just another great scene, a great shot. The woman cop is like desperately reaching for her gun, and then the candy truck driver raises the gun, and it's the whole like you see the revolver start to turn, click, and it's the boom headshot, blows her head not off, but boom, headshot.
Yeah, boom headshot. And they're put back in this truck, and Beth is pretty calm. And
yeah, she's pretty much accepted
what's going to happen.
Defeat,
Vera's freaking out, trying to get out of there again. And then you can see that Beth is leaving again, and she's screaming, "No, stay with me, kind of stuff." It's just funny because that's what Beth yelled to Vera when she was trying to get Vera out of the basement before she actually transitioned back to where she was.
Yeah.
Then it goes to her at a party. Everything's nice again. And she sits on the couch. Her mom's congratulates her. She hooks her mom up with some robot. And that's not really a robot, just some guy that talks like this.
Yep.
And he's very proper. And
you see the policewoman and the policeman.
Yep. And so you're thinking, oh, she made
as party guests.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, so she is actually in her adult life, and she's remembering things wrong. At this point, what is surreal and what's real is kind of like, okay, where are we at now?
Right.
And then she sits down on the couch, and this is where, well, it's not real.
Yep.
Because a certain Mr. H.P. Lovecraft sits down next to her and tells her that her novel is a masterpiece. And she's like,
thank you, Mr. Lovecraft. Call me Howard.
And so then she hears her sister screaming again. So she goes upstairs and sees like a glass door, and her sister's like pounding on it and screaming and getting slammed against it. And her mother's like, don't listen to her. So you can tell now that And then she says, "I have to. She's my sister."
Yep.
And she's and whatever
And the mom is understanding, is like, I don't know. She doesn't say like be careful.
she says go baby or something like that.
Yes.
And so then she runs and breaks through the glass, and she comes through that mirror or gets slammed into the mirror.
It's actually, as she's going through the glass door, it's actually her getting slammed into the glass mirror
by the fat man
back in reality.
Yep. And so she starts fighting him again.
Yep.
And Vera is where was Vera at this point? Oh, I know. Never mind. Fat man starts choking the shit out of her, and she's like foaming at the mouth and this and that. But then the doll starts to giggle, that creepy doll, and he gets pissed and goes back, and she throws up, and she grabs. What does she do? Because then he goes after that doll. Does she run away from him then and go into the other room and fight off?
No, I don't think so. I think this is when
the cop comes in.
Yes.
Nope. Because she goes and fights off the truck driver off of her sister, because the truck driver was in the other room choking her sister.
Yes.
She fights off that driver, and then I think what happens is they get separated, and then Fat Man is about to come after them, and then he gets lit up.
Yes.
Twice, 2 shots center mass, and then the truck driver's like, no, and see, like, I wasn't sure at first if this was an actual man or a woman at first, but then you get a better close like that. It kind of looks like a dude. And then they ask, remember when the cops are talking to them? And she goes, "Who did this to you? Tell us." And Beth said it was a witch and an ogre.
Yes.
And then Vera's like, "No, it was 2 men. One's dressed like a woman or whatever. It was like two guys and whatever." And so then, the cop's got his revolver pointed at the driver, and he's like, "Don't do it."
Yep.
And then
of course,
he goes to run after him and gets lit up too.
Yep.
And that's the resolution of the conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Then what you get is the camera's kind of looking up from Beth's point of view as she's being pulled out on a stretcher, and she kind of sees different things in this house. And then it comes back to her, and she's kind of seems serene again. Then they get outside, and they see like the shopkeeper lady. You see a bunch of other cops, and her sister's also on a stretcher, and she looks over at her sister and mouths "I love you" to her, because she had said "I hate you" before, because she took her out of that happy place, So then she gets put on before she gets put into the ambulance, so she looks up and she sees her mother in the window with a big, scar on her neck, and all she does is see her mother point, and then she's
typewriter.
There's a typewriter on the ground.
Yep.
And she like nods, smiles, and gets put on the thing. And the ambulance guy's like, "You're pretty brave, and you probably play sports." And she's like, "Nope." He goes, "Oh, I would have lost that bet. What do you like to do?" And she just like kind of looks at the camera, at the audience, I guess, and says, I write stories."
I like to write stories. Yeah,
I like to write stories.
And that's credits.
Yep.
So let me read you the headline of the review on Bloody Disgusting, because I think this is, after seeing the movie,
just read it. Let's hear it and go from there.
Pascal Laugier's Incident in a Ghostland is problematic shock value in a half-baked story.
Bloody Disgusting wrote that?
Yes.
Huh.
I'm not going to look up who the author was or anything, but there is so much wrong with that. Like, without even reading the review, I'm going to assume that the reviewer did not enjoy the fact that women were being beaten brutally in this movie.
By a trans person? Because one of the people was a trans person? Was that the other? Because they're saying the word problematic, which I wonder if that's what they meant. Because there's a whole reveal of that person being a man, too. When
the wig falls off.
Yeah, the wig falls off, and it then focuses on that. And I was like, I wonder if maybe that's what that article's about.
I don't know, but Yeah, using the word problematic generally tends to be like you find something socially, morally wrong with something.
I guess I kind of have to read the article to really.
I don't know. But then the whole half-baked story, like, I thought the story was, the way it's told, it's a very simple story, but the way it's told is super interesting, I thought.
Half-baked. So, okay, something that's half-baked isn't finished,
Right.
right? So, I would say the story's finished.
Oh, yeah.
So it's obviously a comment on the quality of the story then. Like, it
Sure.
wasn't a good idea. It was a half-baked idea. It was, I mean, there's no exposition, really. There's no...
No.
It's all, I mean, it's no Darren Aronofsky.
No, it's not that complex, but...
And it's not that... And the reveal isn't that interesting either.
Well, I think the way that it's told, though, the way that it sort of tricks you into thinking, oh, okay, they got out of this fine, and then this sudden, it's not really that sudden where it's like...
But the sister's still suffering, and...
Yeah, and then she sort of starts to go back into the trauma that's occurring to her.
Like the gradual process of her coming back.
Yes.
Like, because her sister's sitting there shaking her, trying to get her to wake up and come
Yes.
back and this and that. And the way the story's told of her, as her, like, when you look at each bit, her going back to the house, her experience, her sister freaking out, her talking to her mother, talking about how you don't listen to your sister and this and that.
Yep.
So you get her mind trying to keep her there at the same time.
All the little clues that when you look back on it, it's like, yeah, they're totally referencing like things that are happening in the current reality.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like how her being in a place in her mind is like how they don't just, like you said, she doesn't get like slapped and wakes up back in reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see her getting drawn back into it, not knowing you're seeing this, but she's being drawn back into. Like, you think what I think is going to happen, she's going to go back to the house and those people survived and they're going to have to fight them as adults. Yeah. It's kind of what I figured.
I thought it was going to be an actual like ghost story, like when Vera is all getting ragdolled around and all that.
Sure.
And then she started hearing the voices. I was like, oh shit! Like the ghosts of these killers,
like there's gonna be like
are still in the house.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a what are those Paranormal Activity movie?
Yeah,
which was kind of like, this might suck, like, right? And I'm like, this might not be good. Like when that happened, like there's but the story progressed rapidly enough after her sister beats herself up, that it doesn't, that like fleeting moment of like, wait a minute, is this a Paranormal Activity movie? Hold on, and then it doesn't become that.
Right.
But yeah, so I think that calling it half baked isn't very fair.
No, not.
I mean, it's not like oh my god, great story, but half baked. I mean, what are you talking about?
No.
Okay, so now problematic shock value stuff. I mean, what do you mean by that? Like,
that's why I'm saying, like, I'm sure it's referring to the brutal beating of the young kids and the adults.
Yeah, but when you look at other this new French extreme movement, when you look at the new extreme, this is pretty tame, actually.
Relatively tame.
When you think about how the protagonist in Martyrs gets beat, and the woman,
the full fist, like punching directly square in the face.
Like, so the beatings in that, and the beatings in the Inside, this is pretty tame, actually.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it is extremely brutal
in comparison to other French extremism. That's what this whole movement's called, I guess, like French extremism or something.
But yeah,
high tension's part of this whole thing.
Comparing this movie to, say, Get Out or The Conjuring or any one of these American sort of Hollywood horror movies, it's like I feel like putting this movie up against that, it's like, okay, this is a real film. This is so much more well done than this movie, Get Out. That it's like, if you're used to seeing those types of movies, yeah, this movie is not going to rub you the right way. Like,
I feel like somebody from Bloody Disgusting, though, would
You would
have the
hope.
experience to.
you would hope.
But I'm going to have to read the article to figure out what
Sure.
they didn't like about
Sure.
it. Because maybe there's something that you and I are just forgiving, you know, because we just like
It's just a
Pascal so
very,
much.
like, as far as like a headline for a review after seeing the movie, it's so misleading if that's not what the review is. It's calling the story half-baked is just not true
Yeah, no, I
in
don't
an
think so.
objective sense.
No, I like the story. Like the way that whole thing was shot about her coming back into reality. When you realize what you just watched is really cool.
Yeah.
Her going back to her safe place when she gets recaught, I also think is kind of interesting that she would go back there.
Yep.
But it tricks you to thinking, wait a minute, where is reality? And then you figure it out. I mean, it even seems kind of surreal, even in that whole party
Yeah,
sense.
even getting to that point, I was still thinking like, oh, is this entire thing a story she's writing?
Yeah.
And it's just she's playing it out in her head? Like,
Yeah, so I think half-baked story is mean. Problematic shock value. Are there some cheap jump scares in it? Yeah. There's some cheap ones.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a staple, isn't it?
but when you're saying shock value, though, that tends to mean like gore for the
you-
sake of gore,
so
which
like maybe like the vagina smelling and then the vagina peeing.
sure.
You know, like is that those things were kind of tugged a little bit too much on the sensibilities of this author, maybe.
I wouldn't call that problematic, though. I would just call it sort of a shock value.
Yeah. Is it problematic in that it like is it cheap? Like, I mean, showing her piss when she's dressed up like a doll and her getting piss on her face, is that just shock value, or is there something to that? Because when you think of the context of the story, does it add or take away anything, or do nothing to that story? Adding, taking away, or the piss?
Well, see,
If that's the scene, I'm thinking that would be. If there's a problematic scene, is that it?
but what I got from it was in the very beginning, she's reading off her story, and there's a part in there that talks about the character urinating on.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it was on the rug or
And how Vera says it doesn't mean anything.
yeah.
And so does this her pissing her pants and not mean anything? Is it just kind of just gross? And is that kind of the
Is
point?
that
I mean, because Pascal Laugier even is called Martyrs, the anti-hostile. So is this is supposed to be beyond that, you know, or is this just now torture porn, you know?
But that's what I sort of compare to, like when I hear someone bring up like gore for the sake of gore or whatever, like that's what I think of, like the Saw movies and the Hostel movies, and that's not what this is. Like, this is brutal, yes, but I didn't feel like at any point was it just like, oh yeah, that's just there for the sake of it being like,
So when you look at the things, so like in Martyrs, he focused on the pain. That was his idea.
yeah.
So in this one, is he still focused on the pain? I would say no.
No. I would almost say
I would say this one's more focused on the psychological disposition of both Beth, because you see her position, and the fat man.
Yeah, and I would almost say it's more about like coming to terms or coping with reality.
Yeah, because there's references to her sister just running away from everything.
Yeah.
Her sister mentions that, like, you can't just keep running away. You You know, you ran away from boys, you ran away from this, you ran away from that. You know,
Yeah. There's so much in the movie that like references other parts of the movie, and everything seems to be done with a purpose. Like every sort of like the thing in the beginning with the urination and then that happening, and then it just seems like it's filled with that kind of thing. All the different clues that tie into the made-up reality and actual reality.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much that went into this movie that I feel like was completely deliberate and intentional by the director, Pascal Laugier.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to read this article, though, because I really liked the movie. As far as ranking it, if we want to do that quick,
Yeah.
I would go... Knowing what he's capable of and what this movie is in comparison to, say, Martyrs, I'd say a high gold. I don't think I'd go platinum with this one.
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was really, really good. But as far as the kind of goofy story narrative, the way things are revealed to you, it doesn't touch Mother. But
yeah.
So that's why I can't platinum it.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's as good as Martyrs. But it's very good. But I also don't think with how the story is there's a story within the story kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's cool how the story is actually about how this person is in another reality and being brought back to the real reality, and you watch this slow progression as she's being brought back into where she doesn't want to be.
Yeah.
Is really good, but I still think the way Mother's story is revealed in the cast list and the one capital H,
right.
and the whole, that like it being tied to that one little. I think that is I think so that for me I would give it a high gold.
Yeah, the revelation isn't quite as strong, but I mean I still
like I think if the
it's
whole
still like wow, like
I think
that's really
sure.
interesting what he did there.
And
like,
I think this actually I think this might be a problem with the French extremism part is if they would have spent the whole movie bringing her back and leaving it there.
Yeah.
So then you got the extreme ending of well she's still in hell and then you just leave it at that.
Yeah,
right?
It does have a Hollywood ending.
It
yeah,
does.
A happy ending.
And
which,
so it's got a happy ending. But like if you would have spent the whole movie, right, of bringing her back, like so like the first day she's home, it's fine. The second day, okay, you have your incident with your sister, but things keep getting odder and weird, like because like the help me on the mirror. If the whole movie would have been her being brought back to reality, and the big reveal at the end of the movie is that she's still captured in this house.
Yep.
And then you left it there.
Oh.
Think about that. And so
that would have that Martyrs like despair aspect for sure.
Exactly. I mean, well, even Martyrs had a good ending. I mean, the woman, dies.
The way, yeah, depending on how you look at it, I suppose you could.
It had a happier ending, but like at the same time, she doesn't really win. Exactly. I know what you mean. Not happy, but I think that would have been more effective and more akin to something that like even Pascal Laugier would have done.
Sure.
But instead you get an abbreviated version of that. And then you get more of just the violent French extremism inside beat women up thing, which, so maybe that headline I'm starting to agree with, considering what it could have been. Like, I think for me, there's more value in that transition from adult Beth to kid Beth, and that watching her lose the ability to hide in this reality is a way better story.
I see what you're saying.
Is a way better story than two girls getting beat by these two people and then getting the upper hand, losing the upper hand, getting the upper hand, losing the upper hand, which is like which is the same thing I didn't like about like Inside. It's just okay, it's just a cat and mouse game, but it's just really brutal. Yeah, I liked Inside, but like that's almost pointless brutality. Like it's just watch me.
That for sure.
I'm gonna beat you with this stick, and you're gonna see the head explode. It's just like, but so I think that maybe the article isn't I want to read the article because I think it seems a little bit like, oh, I'm gonna stab this movie to pieces. I want to see the article first, but I still think it's good what he did. But if you would have drawn out, I mean, think about that as a movie. I think I made a better movie. I think I just made a better movie.
Maybe. I don't think. Like right now, I don't think it's as good as Martyrs, but I feel like the more I reflect on it, the more I'm gonna like it.
Sure.
So I will go high gold because I agree it doesn't. The revelation isn't quite as strong as, say, Mother
or even. I mean, even the end of Martyrs. I mean,
yeah. The end of Martyrs is.
It doesn't even hold a candle to Martyrs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to think about, like, if you wanted to demonstrate Pascal Laugier's, like, ability to write and direct, which would you show them? Show Martyrs, of course. You know.
Yeah, but also, like, there's so much that's I think better storytelling in Incident in a Ghostland, because both these movies deal with sort of not really childhood, but younger trauma that occurs, and then those people dealing with it. Both movies have these sort of things that are manifested by whatever mechanism, coping mechanism, whatever you want to call it, guilt that's manifested, that's not real. Both these movies deal with the same thing, so it's kind of, I don't know. It's hard to compare, really.
I can compare them. Like, I can do it. Like like this movie, the Incident in a Ghostland.
You know what I'm saying though? The how they sort of relate.
So Martyrs for me, it's not. You don't get to see, what you see is the psyche, the psychology part of that movie is the woman who was beat by these people seeing this monster because she left somebody in a hole and she's coming back to hurt her, kind of a thing. And her friend's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, kind of a thing, trying to figure it out. Well, only to get caught by the same group because they're trying to do this thing. It doesn't have that whole random, I mean, it's random, but it's like there's a purpose, right? Whereas there's this altruistic purpose. They're not just beating these women because they're mad at them because the guy has a learning disability and a hair lip and whatever, you know. It's and the other guy,
it's not a home invasion.
It's not. It's in a fucking, you know, twisted metal, you know, ice cream head truck thing. You know, it's this altruistic group trying to figure out if there's a life after death. So you get this. I think the story's more grandiose in Martyrs.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Whereas the story in Incident in a Ghostland's more grounded, but when you compare it to Martyrs, it is cheaper. Not in a sense that it's bad, but it has less impact because of what happens in Martyrs. You know.
Yeah, it's not quite as, like, introspective, more like
it gets too much into the cat and mouse game too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I'm telling you, if he would have drawn out her coming out of that psychiatric, like that, coming out of that psychological bubble she put herself in, the whole movie was her getting pulled back into reality, and then do the cat and mouse. But there needed to be way more emphasis on the fact that she is actually hiding in a reality.
You know, now that I think about it, it almost does do that. Like, she does get dragged back, and then she tries to go back.
And she does.
Into her fake reality, but then she knows that she has to go back.
And save her sister.
So in a way, it kind of does do that.
Which is, it just... For it to be part of this French extremism where you will deal with the nitty-gritty of psychology and mental disorders and mental issues and the beatings and stuff, it just seems like it focused more on the beatings part, in which I thought that's where I kind of agree. It's just cheap shock shit. Just, okay, a giant man is beating up two 14-year-old, 15-year-old girls, as opposed to a giant fat man catches these two girls. The one girl is able to escape in her mind, and her sister's trying to fight her back, to bring her back. And that whole movie was that, and then the reveal at the end is she is in hell, and then you just cut it off. I mean, you don't show anything. Just it leaves it to your own mind, and then you leave it in that like she doesn't win. She doesn't can't go back into her place or whatever. She just wakes up and she's still the girl or whatever. And it's maybe her sister like on top of her getting dragged away from her.
I wonder in a way though if that would almost be expected going into this like French extremism, like if you would almost expect that kind of ending.
So to get away from
it be a happy ending, then that's the more unexpected. Like
so, let's give it an American ending instead of a French extreme ending.
Yeah.
I mean, I really kind of don't. Now I'm talking you're going to talk me into a silver for this movie. But no, I still liked it. I still think it's good. But I might agree with some of the stuff in that article when I think about cheap shock horror. I don't like the problematic shock horror or the half-baked idea. But I think that maybe he had an idea and didn't realize what he could have been doing. For me, a story about a person being drawn out of their safe place mentally, like this safe haven they created to avoid this hell they were actually in, getting dragged back out of that, would be more impactful as opposed to what we got. Then she comes back and then they fight their way out.
Sure.
And then you get a happy ending too. Nobody, just the mother dies, and which is a pretty cheap, not cheap, but scary review, but I kind of feel now when I think about like my ending, I think my ending's better.
All right. Sure.
Holy shit! we went
right.
this long without Aaron.
Let us know what you thought of Incident in a Ghostland. Was it a problematic,
Cheap,
shock value, half-baked story, or did you absolutely love it like I did?
Yep. Or are you like me and think I loved it?
You could make a better movie,
but it could have. But there was an opportunity missed.
Okay. Get at us on Twitter. Let us know what you thought. At Scream Fiends. 7voltmedia.com is where all the other episodes are. iTunes, Google Play. Find us on YouTube. Subscribe. Leave a comment. Leave a like. All that good stuff. Next week, I think we're doing Brotherhood of the Wolf, possibly.
Yeah.
If we want to sit through a 2.5 hour movie, we'll see. But yeah, that'll do it for episode 92. From us at Scream Fiends, so long and farewell.